In the upper Great Plains of South Dakota, a very curious dinosaur has been spotted, a type of ceratopsian which many people are probably familiar with. However, there is a lot more underneath the surface of this creature. One of the rarest clones to be known, the Chasmosaurus. Now, Chasmosaurus is not that interesting of a clone at first glance. It's got very bright colors, but other than that, it looks like the stereotypical build for a ceratopsian. But this dinosaur was never even supposed to be cloned in the first place. Originally, it was intended to be a pentaceratops. Ingen thought the bones they received were of a juvenile, but instead they were of a completely different species, the Chasmosaur. They were accidentally cloned back in the 90s, making them an illegal clone. But unlike the other illegal clones, the Chasmosaur was a complete accident. Ingen realized pretty quickly they had screwed up, so they quickly threw out the genome, which is one of the key factors as to why the Chasmosaur is as rare as it is. Even though you could recreate it using your own genome, the Ingen Chasmosaurus' genome is no longer here. Therefore, we can never recreate it truly how Ingen did. After a lot of blood work to see if the DNA matches what we know of the Ingen Chasmosaur, a lot of experts have been called in to see what we can find out about this creature. Original documents written by Henry Wu himself showed that the Chasmosaur was very solitary. It's not very aggressive towards its other herd members, but it really doesn't like being around them, at least according to Henry. But Dr. Wu also noted that it was very adjustable to its environment. Dirt and grass plains, forests, tundras, the Chasmosaur liked them all. We found this one out in a dirt desert, however, she is quickly moving north. But she is gentle enough to let us get a good look at her very pretty scales. While it may seem that these colors might stand out a little bit too much, especially if this creature is trying to camouflage, some people think this might be the exact opposite. The Chasmosaurus is trying to stand out to tell predators to not mess with it, even though it really doesn't have that great of defenses. So to compromise, it goes out into the very large forest nearby as a sort of cover system for the night, and hopefully we will meet up again with her the next morning. And thankfully, on the other side of the forest, next to a large abandoned factory, we find her again. And this time we get to get a good look at her grazing. As well as that, we have a scientist on our way out here, but we'll get back to that in a minute. While the nighttime dusk made it a little bit harder to see, you can now really gaze upon the amazing color scheme that this Chasmosaurus has in the daytime. If you look upon its frill, there is a large striped outline of what seems to be a Chasmosaurus's head. Our drone may have gotten a little bit too close, so the Chasmosaurus stands in a very strange defense posture, probably to show off its large frill and again its mesmerizing colors. It's most likely intended for Cretaceous predators instead of a measly drone though. Thankfully, this is the first dinosaur that South Dakota has seen in about a year, so no theropods will be hunting this Chasmosaur today. Despite the large size of its frill, it's mainly taken up by openings in the crest. In fact, the name Chasmosaurus means opening lizard. You may also notice that this Chasmosaurus only has one large nose horn, despite other specimens in the fossil record having 3. Well, this might actually be a difference in sexual orientation. Because this is a female Chasmosaur, it's possible that the males were the ones that possessed the 3 horns. This is an interesting study that is still going on. It is mainly being pushed by a Dr. Sarah Harding. We talked with her earlier about some of the strange things we've noticed about the ceratopsian ourselves, and here's what she had to say about it.
We've been seeing a lot of unusual behavior in these guys, and that's what we've been trying to understand. You know, you look at deers, goats, or any animal really, and you'll see some strange things they do, so it's really not that unusual for them to be unusual.
Despite their shy and timid nature, Sarah was lucky enough to get close to feed this Chasmosaurus. Sarah really wants to figure out why the Chasmosauruses are as solitary as they are, and why they don't like to clump up together in large herds like other herbivores. Dr. Harding has spent 5 years researching ceratopsians and all the strange behaviors they have, and she really likes the Chasmosaurus. As she calls it, it is her white whale.
We think part of the reason they're so rare is because they aren't very outgoing. They don't really have a mating season like other animals. I'd love to have a second one to see how they'd interact.
And I'm sure many of us would agree, Dr. Harding. All of us would love to see the mysteries that the Chasmosaur has untold. But that's all I have for this episode of Ingen Dinosaur Profile. Thank you all for watching, and next time we're going to be taking a look at an equally odd herbivore. But until then, remember, if something chases you, run.